In a world that's obsessed with appearances and flaunting wealth, the most powerful move you can make is the exact opposite, choosing to look poor. Why? Why is it important to look poor? Because behind the facade of simplicity lies an unshakable foundation of wealth and wisdom. If you have to brag about the all of the material things in your life, there probably isn't much else to it. When you resist the urge to show off, avoid unnecessary expenses, it's not about deprivation. It's about a strategy that you're developing. By keeping a low profile, what you're actually doing is you're focusing on what actually counts. And that is building assets, growing your investments, and of course, achieving financial freedom faster than those who are busy chasing the spotlight. This video isn't about looking poor for the sake of appearances. It's about mastering the art of restraint, staying grounded, and letting your bank account, not your lifestyle, speak for itself. Stay with me as we explore why this mindset is not only freeing, but also the smartest financial decision you can make. Modesty and humility shines in a person. That's what I truly believe. And that is why I have come up with 6 reasons why I feel looking poor is important. Point number 1 on the list is Diderot effect. This is a proper noun, so yes, there is no proper pronunciation to it. You can pronounce it the way you want. However, Diderot effect is what you call it. Diderot effect talks about buying luxuries in life. I'll tell you a very simple example to explain this effect to you. This effect explains how it is easier probably to buy a Mercedes or to buy a Lamborghini. All right. I know it's not easier, but at least you can get to it if you save up enough money, right? But it's not about buying a Mercedes that is going to pinch you the hardest. It is going to pinch you even more later when you'll be paying 10 times the amount for insurance which other people would be paying. So if they are paying 10,000, you will probably end up paying a lakh rupees or maybe more for insurance of the same car, like for the same four-wheeler that others also own. So it's also about maintaining and paying hefty amounts in maintaining that car that you've bought. It's also about purchasing the repair parts and amount that you have to spend into regular repairs of the car, because the parts are going to be so much more expensive than regular cars. So you're not just paying for purchasing the car and bringing the car to your place. It's also about maintaining the car. And these are 2 separate considerations. The Diderot effect is a social phenomenon describing how the acquisition of a new possession can lead to creation of a spiral of consumption, which leads to purchase of more related items like the repair parts or accessories, which are obviously they are proportional to the cost of the item in the first place. The term originates from the 18th century French philosopher Denis Diderot, who wrote an essay titled Regrets on Parting with My Old Dressing Gown. This is what happened with him, to Denis Diderot. To match the gown's aesthetic, Diderot began replacing his furniture, his decor, other items, plunging into a cycle of unnecessary spending. New possessions raise your standards you set for yourself, making your existing belongings like clothes, shoes, bags you already have seem inadequate. And that way, what happens is that instead of feeling more accomplished from that one item, you tend to feel that awkward feeling by using any other bag in the collection. Okay, it's just a very superficial example. It happens on a much deeper level when you experience something like this in your life. New possessions can make you reassess and redefine your identity, which further influences your buying choices. You can't deny that. If you once started to spend and splurge on luxuries of life, you tend to adopt that as a mindset. And you do that more often than not then, right? It's not that you're going to stop on one Louis Vuitton. You're going to target another luxury bag after that. Talking personally about myself, if you can believe, I really do not splurge much money on buying luxuries. I have once in a while made some 1 or 2 expenses that were not very reasonable and not in line with my upbringing, but I stopped there because I understood what was happening. I did not want to become that person who would only find worth and value in expensive things. For me, I think that is extremely shallow way of looking at life or living life. I want to continue enjoying the simple and inexpensive things in life. And I am more of a family person, so I derive most of my happiness from the people around me, which are very few in number, by the way. But that's how I like looking at things. Okay, so going on, this is, of course, the reason number one why looking poor may actually not be as bad as you think it is. It lets you enjoy the things you already have. And at the end of the day, who is here to decide? Just because someone else has more money doesn't mean that they get to judge you or you let them have authority over you. Of course, you've always got the reins of your life in your hands. Buying expensive things could actually be a mental strain. I don't know if you've experienced it yet, but on an average individual level, I feel all of us, sometime in our lives, we have aimed for something that felt very expensive to us. So nobody else can define that parameter for you. Like, who am I to tell you that a 10,000 rupee bag is expensive or a 4 lakh rupee bag is expensive? Everybody has their own benchmarks, right? But I'm sure you must have felt that strain when you wanted to buy something extremely expensive for your budget. You wanted to arrange it somehow and you started to shrink your budget elsewhere so that that dream could become a possibility. I'm sure that something like that might have happened to you if you could recollect and go back in your memory and think of one such example. This point will feel even more relatable to you. You think about using them since now that you've bought something as expensive as that, something that you had to try so hard for, you think about using them since you've spent so much money on them, of course. You become overly conscious of others' opinions of you. Overall, it pushes you into a soft slavery because now you're very concerned about other people's opinions, how they think about your bag or what they think about you or how they perceive you, or if you spend so much money on buying this piece of jewelry or this piece of bag or whatever, is it actually worth it? Are people appreciating it enough? Am I looking like a rich person? Those thoughts cross your mind. I'm sure they do. I don't know if you do agree with me or not, but we are honest, these things tend to happen. Starting with reason number 2 now, that is debt trap and golden handcuffs effect. Understand it, it's very interesting. Just hear me out. This refers to accumulation of debt that forces individuals to remain in jobs they don't like because they are financially obligated to meet their debt repayments. High interest rates compound the debt. Okay, the debt keeps accumulating, making it even more difficult to pay off later. This also leads to the golden handcuffs effect, where people feel tied down to their jobs due to the financial benefits or perks they receive, not because they enjoy their jobs. No, they don't like it, but they still have to do it because of the financial benefits. So you're used to a particular lifestyle, and that can only be supported by a high paying job. There you go, working extra hours in a role you despise for high salary, stock options, or bonuses that are tied to your tenure. So this is reason number 2, and I'm sure you might have probably seen maybe your dad or some uncle experiencing this golden handcuffs effect or the debt trap, which is quite common to see everywhere around us. Okay, talking about reason number 3, which is lifestyle inflation, an interesting point. When I finish this point, hand on your heart, ask yourself, does this happen to you or not? Okay, be honest. Nobody can lie to themselves. Let me start. Many people, what they do is upgrade their cars, their phones, or wardrobes, not because their current ones are failing or they are not good enough, but because they feel the need to keep up appearances or satisfy fleeting desires, desires that do not remain. One thing you like today, tomorrow you like something else, the third day something else. These desires are fleeting, they're always changing nature. This urge to consume more as income rises is known as lifestyle inflation. So as your income is increasing, so are your expenses. Happens, right? Relatable. This is called lifestyle inflation. Not that if you make more money, you'll have more savings. That actually does not happen with a lot of people. Even if their income is increasing, they still do not have savings. Why? Because their lifestyle is inflating. Their lifestyle is getting expensive. And it's one of the biggest barriers to financial growth. Psychological drivers that play a role here. Let's talk about those also. There is this thing by the name the hedonic treadmill. Lifestyle inflation is deeply connected to the hedonic treadmill, a psychological phenomenon where people quickly adapt to material gains, leaving them perpetually unsatisfied and always desiring for more. I'll give you an example here. A study published in Psychological Science, that is 2010, found that while new purchases provide temporary satisfaction, people revert to their baseline happiness levels shortly after. Today, I bought this ring, okay? I feel very happy about it for a couple of hours. Maybe in hour number 3 or hour number 4, my baseline happiness has already come back to me. I'm just going back to my same level of happiness. I'm no more feeling that extra joy of receiving this new ring. And that is what I'm talking about by hedonic treadmill. Okay, treadmill, it keeps moving this way. You keep coming back to your baseline happiness. A 2023 survey by Bankrate found that 52% of millennials admitted to overspending on luxury items to maintain their social image. Reason that was attributed to increased spending on especially non-essential items and the accumulation of debt for lifestyle upgrades. That was the reason that was given for this. You're in the right direction if you aren't attracted by the new releases of flashy phones and cars. Your phone is still good. I use an iPhone 14, which is not the pro level, the pro version. And it's good enough. Like, I am a dropper. I keep dropping my phone every now and then. It has so many cracks, at least 10 cracks all over my phone. But I still use it, and I still use it to shoot my videos. And it is doing a pretty good job. I just don't want to upgrade it also because when you upgrade to a new phone, there is more time and effort that you have to invest into maintaining that phone. So I'm pretty good with my old phone. It's doing fine. See, I am in this business, I'm in this profession where you need high tech software and high tech gadgets because you have to shoot stuff, content creation. But again, if my old phone is doing fine, I'm okay. I'm good. I'm not going to be upgrading it anytime soon. Lifestyle inflation is a silent thief. It robs people of long term financial security in exchange for short lived satisfaction. Looking poor is a mindset of prioritizing future wealth over present validation. Get it? Okay. Reason number 4, everybody, is escalation of commitment. The sunk cost fallacy, you call it. Let me explain. Spending much on appearances creates this psychological tendency to continue investing time, effort, money in something because the resources are already committed. So you've already spent, let's say, a couple of lakhs on buying a piece of jewelry. And now there is this force of nature, psychological force that you've spent so much money on this. When are you going to use it? You keep asking yourself this question. There's this pressure to use it. And that is what I hate even more. You should buy things to make you feel happy and not to make you feel committed to materialistic things, right? This is like unreasonable commitment that you are drawing to materialistic things. I mean, there's so much else in the world to enjoy. There's so much beauty. There are birds, there are trees, there's sky. There's so much that you can do. Why spend so much of your time and energy into using stuff which I don't even know if people will notice or not? Whom are you doing it for? Right? That's the point here. You buy an expensive luxury car, you feel the need to upgrade to a premium insurance plan, purchase high end accessories for your car, and spend on costly maintenance. Because you've already committed so much to the car, you've given it 50, 60 lakh rupees, and now you want everything best for your car. When you appear wealthy, there's pressure to keep up with your social circle, leading to more spending just to justify your earlier choices. The newness of the purchase and the honeymoon period fades away, but the tendency to keep investing in purchases remains. Sometimes less is truly more. By staying grounded and avoiding unnecessary displays of wealth, you free yourself from the sunk cost trap. Sunk cost is cost that has already been incurred. So let's say you were about to start a business, and to start that business, you bought a small machinery, a piece of machinery of 20,000 rupees. And now the decision to start that business has changed. Now you feel something else is better for you, or the direction the world is taking is more favorable for that. So you decide to stop this business, not to start it, and to start that. Now, the spend that you've already made for your earlier business idea, 20,000 rupees, is called sunk cost. Money that you've already spent, okay, into buying something that you will not be requiring in future, or you will not be making use of. So sunk cost is usually ignored while taking decisions that are good for business. See, why you ignore the sunk cost is because you want to save yourself from future damage, and that is why you call it sunk cost. Cost jo already doob gayi, it is already sunk. Okay, instead of throwing good money after bad, you can focus on decisions that genuinely align with your financial goals. All right. Now let's talk about reason number 5, which is looking rich often attracts wrong kind of company. Projecting an image of wealth can sometimes act as a magnet for people whose intentions might not align with your best interests. This often happens with people who portray themselves rich. They end up making superficial relationships or getting exploited or manipulated by those who call themselves your friends. They may not actually be your friends. When you need them, you will ask for help. They may not actually show up for you. Money friendships can never be true friendships. And I'm sure you agree with me on this. How and when I realized that something like this was happening to me. So I was, for a very brief period of time, let's say just about 2 years or so, not so brief, I guess, but for 2 years or so, I was friends with this girl who was who had come from a family that had more money than my family. What I realized was that I was subconsciously trying to act like her habits, the way she would spend so lavishly on her birthdays or random celebrations, buying a phone. Like, okay, if the phone is not working well, instead of getting it repaired, I'd buy a new one. She would do things like these, and I have nothing, I'm not judging you, it's okay if you can afford it, fine. What was wrong was that I was trying to copy her behavior. I was also, in a way, looking up to her to copy those things in my life. If my phone is not working fine, I would, instead of getting it repaired or taking 1 or 2 days away from phone, I would think, no, I cannot stay without my phone. I need a new one immediately. I remember I got a scooty around that time. I could have managed in a much lower amount, but I actually ended up spending twice of the regular amount just to buy myself a better scooty, because I really needed a scooty around then. And gradually I realized that what am I doing this for? Who is looking, and whom am I trying to please here? I also realized that I did not want to invite her or her group to my home because, let's just accept it, I was ashamed and scared of being judged. That, okay, they have such lavish homes, they're going to judge me if they come to my place. So I was, in a way, trying to create a perception of myself in other people's eyes, which was not good for my mental health. I did not want to be that person. Today, I don't want to be that person. Whatever I have, it's right out there. If you want to judge me, you're not my friend. And if I care enough, if I care about you, that you will judge me, I don't think you're my friend. If I am trying to create a facade in front of you, because to my friends, I'm real. I am who I am, and I don't have to hide it. And that is why this is the basic parameter on which you measure your friendship, right? I realize, what is all this for? Why should I be ashamed of my truth? And that's when, actually, today we're not friends. Just keep it simple. We're not friends anymore. So, looking poor is a really easy way to weed out the people that want to be your friend for the wrong reasons. Okay. Now, the last point on the list why looking poor is actually very important is that it saves you from becoming a target. Understand this. And I'll give you another very shocking story from my own life. So, looking wealthy can unintentionally paint a bullseye on your back, making you an easy target for theft, fraud, other forms of exploitation. By maintaining a modest and grounded appearance, you significantly reduce the risk of becoming a victim in both social and financial contexts. We can take Saif Ali Khan, for example. We all are aware what has just happened with him, right? If this could happen to one of the most financially well off people in our country with the most major connections, what are our chances? How safe are we? Wealthy appearances can make you stand out, increasing the risk of being pickpocketed or mugged. Simple actions like using an older phone in public, carrying a basic wallet, or driving a modest car can help you blend in and avoid unnecessary attention. Another thing that actually happens if you show off your money is that you become a target of sob stories to borrow money. People tell you all kinds of stories, their miseries, and sometimes they actually may require help, but a lot of times you just don't trust their intentions. And you're not getting this voice from inside that this person actually needs it. You're doubtful. And it's a bad place to be in if you're doubting everybody around you. How safe will you feel if you're always confused of other people's intentions of you? They might fake emergencies or exaggerated needs for charity. How are you going to avoid all that? It invites curiosity and intrusion into your personal life. It may lead to people prying into your finances or spreading rumors and can even attract scrutiny from tax authorities. Yeah, it can, right? By being discreet and keeping a low profile, you can create an environment where you can grow your wealth safely. Modesty isn't just a virtue, it's a shield. Remember that. Now, I'll tell you something back in class 7th. I was, I think, in class 7th or 8th. I don't remember clearly. I was a young, very little child. And back then, one of my classmates, we heard this story. It had actually happened at her place. She was a well off, she came from a well off family, well to do family. And her sister was kidnapped and they were asked for some ransom. It actually happened. I remember those 3 4 days, what happened, what people were talking in my school. I remember those days, that time very clearly in my head. I was a little child, but such things stay with you. And there was this story that went around. I'm not sure if it was true or not. They had around 12 lakh rupees or so in their house when this happened. So they immediately gave that money. And I think they arranged the rest. I'm not sure. But yes, something like this actually happened. And she was a friend, more of an acquaintance. Okay. Now, to conclude the video, I have a question for you. Have you heard of the 4% rule? This rule comes from the Trinity study, a landmark financial analysis that was conducted back in 1990s. The rule suggests that you can withdraw 4% of your retirement savings annually adjusted for inflation and can still ensure your savings last for at least 30 years. Okay, I'll give you an example. If you have 1 crore rupees saved for retirement, okay, you can withdraw 4 lakh rupees in the first year. In subsequent years, this amount is adjusted for inflation. For instance, if the inflation is 6%, your second year withdrawal would be 4.24 lakh rupees. Because of inflation, of course, your expense is also increasing every year. If you withdraw at the rate of 4% plus adjust inflation every year, you could still use a corpus of 1 crore rupees for up to 30 years. So you can retire peacefully. Now, why I told you about this 4% rule is so that you can actually plan your retirement and read about it more, find out your avenues, and start saving up. Saving is important. I know life is unpredictable, but what if you actually get to live till 80? Whom are you going to be asking for money from, right? You need to have your own money, so you need to plan. If everything goes well and you actually do get to live a long life, you need to start planning now. Otherwise, you'll be on the mercy of others, which is a terrible way of looking at life, honestly. I really hope that never happens to any one of us. Notably, India's household savings rate has been declining, with nearly half of households reporting a dip in savings and in earnings in financial year 25. I'm going to be leaving a few links for you to study from. Please check the description of this video, it can help you. Moreover, projecting an image of wealth can attract superficial relationships and unwanted attention. Studies indicate that social hierarchies and economic inequalities significantly influence interpersonal relationships in India, which leads to exploitation or envy. By maintaining a low profile, individuals can foster genuine connections and reduce the risk of becoming targets for crime and for financial scams. So be careful. By indulging too much in superficial displays of luxury, which is actually bought on credit a lot of times, we tend to forget things that truly matter in life. If you're asked about a happy time in your life, it would not be a moment you bought an expensive car or a big TV. It would always be with somebody you love, your family. This line of thought and aligned actions can free you up in so many ways. So, this was the video, guys. I hope you learned something new today and you share my idea of looking poor. By poor, I do not mean you wear torn clothes. What I actually mean is just to not stand out. This idea of looking richer than others and finding it happy, I don't think is the right way of looking at things. And you need, not you, but people need mentoring. So it's okay to look normal, it's okay to look average. Do not follow Instagram celebrities just for the sake of it, just because somebody else is doing it. And by the way, a lot of that you see on Instagram, on Reels, is not even real. So save yourself some time, save yourself some energy, focus on the right things in life, focus on the growth that you can get mentally and in your career, in your relationships by focusing on the right things. I'll see you in the next video. You take care of yourself. Bye bye.